Hello and welcome back to our Introduction to Canvas video series. This lesson is going to focus on part 3, assignments and quizzes. So now we're actually going to start to create some stuff. And always remember that there is a quick start instructor's guide found on CDNet under documentation. Okay, so to get started, we're going to pick a class that has no content right now, and it's starting out the way that your class is probably going to start out, with this little helpful guides popping up on the bottom of your screen showing you how to import content, add course assignments, and just all the other options to get yourself started. So we are going to do the one where we're going to add an assignment. We're going to look at this one, we'll look at assignments and quizzes, and we'll start out with an assignment. So how do we create assignments in Canvas? Well, first thing is you're going to have an assignment group, and you can create other groups and give them different names, but I'm just going to use the default assignment to begin with, and we're going to hit the little button up here to add an assignment. And when you add an assignment, basically you're going to see these common tools like you have whether you're creating web pages, whether you're creating quizzes, you're adding fonts and text and doing some different things with it. So I can start to add text in here, and if I wanted to highlight that, I can make it different sizes, and you can go with bolding it, whatever you want to try to do with that. Now there are two ways to hit enter on a web page. If I just hit enter by itself, it disconnects it from the line above it, and you do get a larger break in there. Okay, and as you type, if I hold down shift and enter, it kind of keeps those two lines of text connected to a degree, and you get a smaller space with it. So I can go with we'll go italicized with that. We'll go with a smaller font size for that one. Let's say this line I wanted to tab it in. Well, the tab key doesn't really work on web pages. You need to use the indent buttons in here. You can increase the indent or decrease the indent. Now what's interesting is because I used the shift enter key and these two lines are connected, they were both indented together. If I use just enter by itself, that line I can decrease the indent and take it back to a different size line. Okay, so you have those as options. Just remember, enter by itself gives you a larger break. Shift enter will give you basically a single line spacing, and it will connect those lines together. And I can add various things in here. I can add insert math equations, and you've got some of your basic math functions in here to create an equation. And apparently there's an advanced view, so you math teachers, you can go crazy with that stuff. You can insert images in here. Now if you embed an image, it's going to give you three options: either a website image, an image already in Canvas. We haven't imported any images in Canvas yet, and they give you Flickr, which I've never played with. Okay, so we need to add some images. Well, whenever you want to add something into a web page, into an assignment, into a quiz, you're always going to see this insert content into page option over here on the right hand side in the sidebar, and you can work with assignments, and as you make assignments, as you make quizzes, they will show up in these lists. So you can add these various pieces of content into another object. So as we create them, they'll be there. Well, right now, let's say I want to add an image, so I'm going to go over here to the image tab, and I'm going to upload a new image, and let's go find an image for this. What folder do I want to put it in? By default, I'll just put it in the course files folder and choose a file. Now let's make life easy here. Let's see if I can find a picture that would work pretty good for this. Here's a really cool looking picture for digital communications. So I'll add that. You do have a 50 megabyte limit on your files, and we will hit upload. Now as it uploads, it will put it into the assignment page where you had the cursor located. So I'm going to make that image a little bit smaller. Maybe I want it on its own line, so I'll put it down here, enter, we'll center it up, and now you've just added an image. Now let's say we want to do a hyperlink, because remember, you're creating an assignment for your students. We'll just give it a simple name here. You're just adding an assignment for your students, so maybe you want your students to go to a specific web page. So if you're going to say click here, and I'm going to make this text a little bit easier to see, so we're going to make it bold. And let's just say I want that word click here to represent a real web page. So here's a web page I have over here as a tab. It's called a technology timeline. It just looked like an interesting thing for some historical facts. I like that. I'm going to highlight the web page. I'm going to either hit Control-C to copy, or I can right-click and pick copy. Now I'm going to go back in here to my canvas, and while I have those words highlighted, I'm going to put a hyperlink on those words. And let's see, here are the chain links. Link to URL, link to a web page, or you can unlink something. So I'm going to pick link to URL. I'm going to hit Control-V to paste it, or again, I could even right-click and pick paste, and that puts that hyperlink right in there, and we hit Insert Link. And now you'll see that it shows up blue. So right now, the kids can click on that. It will take them to this web page. It'll open it up in a new tab. Let's say I want that same hyperlink also on this picture. Okay, so I can select the picture. I can go to link to URL, and it's already in here because it always remembers your last hyperlink, and insert link. The nice thing about this is when you create more pages, you could pull that page up on the screen and highlight the page name and hyperlink it from one page to another, so you get navigation within your site. That's how I had created my other one. Okay, so we have some created objects here. Let's say you also want your kids to be able to open up either a PDF file or a Word document that you created. So we'll go over to Files, and we'll hit Upload a new file, and choose a file. And I'm just going to pick a Word document out of this. So let's see. Oh, here's a nice PDF file, AutoCAD Essentials. So I'll just pick that, and we'll upload it. And it's uploading it to the Canvas site, and it's also going to put it right in the page where my cursor was. So right there's the link. So if the kids click on that, it'll open up that PDF file for them. So you have all kinds of content you can add movie files, and we'll show you this later when we create a web page. But all of these external tools, it's this big V here. These are all these external tools that you can link right in this assignment, and the YouTube is the one that I use a lot, which we'll show you a little bit later. So the tools are nice. You can put a lot of different things in with different tools. That's about all I'm going to do. You can add everything into this that's going to describe this project to the students. Now you need to set up some guidelines for this project now. So the project has a name, it has a description and a content area, and we have to decide how many points this will be worth. Maybe this is a 20-point assignment. What assignment group is it going to go into? You're only going to have one because I haven't created any new assignment groups yet. Display your grade as points or percentage or a letter grade. You can do whatever you want to with that. How do you want them to submit this assignment? So you've got the description. Do you want them to do a text entry right into this assignment thing online? So you can do a text entry, and it'll give the kids a text box right in underneath all of this description where they can type in their responses right there. Maybe you're having them search for a website, or maybe they're going to do all their content on a web page, and maybe they'll just direct you to their web page. You can do that. Media recordings. These are really good for, let's say, public speaking class or the music classes. Maybe you need a student that's going to record a playing piece, so they can actually use a media recording and record it right into their computer, and you can listen to it right here through Canvas. And maybe you're going to have them upload a file. Maybe they're going to create a PowerPoint, or they're going to create a Word document, and you can check that so that the kids will have an upload link to be able to upload those assignments. And I'm going to check text entry. So I'll give these kids for this assignment the option to do a text entry or a file upload. And you can restrict what type of files to upload. For example, maybe you only want them to be in PowerPoint format. You don't want them to be in the OpenOffice format. So you can just select that, and you're just going to have it be a PowerPoint document. I'm drawing a blank on the PowerPoint format. Let's just say it's a docx or something like that. You can tell it what it's going to be, or maybe it's going to also be a doc. So you're restricting what type of file types you want. You use a comma between the examples, like the example shows here, to show the different file types. Maybe it's a group project. Okay, maybe these kids are going to be teaming up to do a group project. So you can give these project groups a name. You can allow self sign up so the kids can actually pair themselves up with somebody. You can require them to be in the same section. If you don't do that, then you might have a kid from, say, period 2 teaming up with somebody from period 4, and that might not work so well. This is something that we need to all experiment with a little bit more to see how it's all going to work. And you can even do a group structure here. You can actually split all the students into equal groups, or maybe you'll manually create the groups. So you have to decide how you want to do that if you're going to try to do with group projects. I'm not going to make this a group project right now. Require peer reviews. Who's it for? Everyone right now. You can give it the due date. Once you start giving your assignments due dates, they'll start populating into the calendar for the students, and the messages, the notices that are given, it'll come up with the actual due dates. Maybe you don't want a kid working on this before a certain time, so you can restrict when it's available from and when it's available to. So you can even notify the users that content has changed and send them an email. So there's a lot of things you can do in there with the assignments. I'm just going to hit update the assignment right now, and it should create this assignment, and it should look pretty good. And for some reason I'm missing the picture right now. Okay, I'm not sure. We've been having some issues with this. I'm noticing, like, the first time through, sometimes the picture doesn't take, and then the second time I go through, we'll say do an edit, and let's see if I can put a picture in here now. So there we go. I'll click where I want the picture to go. We'll go to images, and it'll show all the images that you currently have loaded in there. I'll click it and try it again, and I'll make the image a little bit smaller. Okay, I'll go down here below it, and let's put that file link back in here now. So here I can open up course files, and that AutoCAD Essential document's already in there. So we'll put that right in underneath it. I'm going to make it bold. Alright, now let's try to save it again and see if I have the picture and the document in this time. And they took this time. So I don't know why sometimes it doesn't work the first time. It's a little glitchy, I guess. But there we go. There's the click here. That'll take them to the web page. Okay, if I click there you go. It opens up another tab with that web page in it. If I click on this, I didn't actually redo the hyperlink on the picture when I put it in again, but if I open up the AutoCAD Essentials, that should actually download the document, and you would be able to access it then. Okay, so let's see, and there's the 20 points for it. Submitting, you can do it as a text box or a file upload or a docx or a document for everybody. Hey, we can add a rubric to this. It's always good to add that rubric. Now, you can go out and you can find a rubric that's already been created. And I have some in here that I've already used for some other projects, and it'll just explain all the criteria. So here would be like a just a 20-point rubric, and I could say use this rubric. And there it is. It's already taken care of. So completeness, quality, neatness, 5 points. And it actually does add up to 20, like I said that it would be worth. But if you didn't want that one, you could create your own rubric. So we'll delete that one out of there, and let's just add a new rubric. So if you wanted to create a fresh rubric for this, you can actually, here's the description of the criterion. So you can say this is going to be completeness. And we'll hit OK on that, and let's see, full marks. You only have 2 categories to start with. It's worth 5 points or 0 points. Well, if I go to edit this, let's say we want this to be worth 10 points, backspace, 10 points, and you can give it another description. Say, it's all there, it's all complete. You hit OK. Well, I don't want to go straight from 10 to 0 points. Maybe we want to have a 5-point option in here. So I just click on one of these arrows, and it'll give me another category to grade. And it automatically went to 5 points because I was at 10 and 0, so I just picked the midway point. So we can edit that, and you can tell it what you want it to be and how many points it's worth. And you can keep going down and add another category, and you can give it a name. And again, you can determine how many points you want this to be worth. Okay, so right now we're up to 15 points for the project, and I said it would total point of 20. So let's make this be worth 10 points too. Alright, so there we go. This has a rubric with 2 categories. It adds up to 20. Everything works. So we're going to create that rubric. And there we have it. That assignment is done. Let's go back to our list of assignments. And just out of curiosity, I would like to see what this assignment's going to look like as a student. So I'm going to go down to my settings category, because down here in settings I have an option to look at it as a student view. So we'll click student view, and now the web page is being displayed as a student sees it. When you're ready to leave it, you can reset the student if you've been testing out quizzes and stuff, or you can leave it as student view. So let's go into assignments, and no assignments for this group because I don't think I published it. Let's leave student view, and nope, I did not publish it. The little cloud is gray, so let's publish it. Okay, we'll go back into settings. Let's go back into student view, go back into assignments, and I should hopefully see it now, and there it is. So we're going to click on it, and this is what the student sees. No due date right now. We never gave it a due date. This would take you to the web page. There it is, so they could look at the article. Here's the PDF file they can click on. There's the criterion for it. And over here, you can click on the option to submit assignment. And there we go. So we can do a text entry. Okay, so I can begin to type in here and do my own response. Works good. If you notice, the students can do everything like you were able to do with the pages. Maybe they're going to upload a file. Okay, so you can choose a file. Now, I think I did I don't know if I remember if I restricted the file type or not, but they can choose a file, and they can pick, a document, and they can submit the assignment, add some comments to it, hit submit, and it's submitting it right now. And there we go, it's turned in. There's some submission details, and this is something that you can really get ready to grade a little later on. So I'm going to leave student view at the moment. And look at this, there's now a speed grader option. We'll talk about speed grader a little bit in a later lesson, but right now we'll just keep moving on. Okay, so creating assignments is pretty easy. Let's look at quizzes. Quizzes are pretty simple too. I think quizzes are a lot more simple in this than they were in Moodle. So let's create a new quiz. So I'm in my quiz category. We just created a new quiz. It's an unnamed quiz, and you can give it some quiz instructions, and just like we did in the assignments, we can add all kinds of different content in here for your quiz instructions. Images, links, mathematical formulas. These are your quiz instructions. Quiz type. There are 4 different types of quizzes. There is a practice quiz and a graded quiz. The only difference here is one will give you grades and the actual grades for the students. One will not. Okay, and the same thing with a graded survey or an ungraded survey. One will allow you to grade the students. One is just an ungraded survey. You can shuffle the answers. I would always recommend checking the box to shuffle the answers, especially for multiple choice, because when you shuffle your answers, you can always put the correct answer at like option number 1, and then put in all your fake answers, and it'll always shuffle them around for you. You can put a time limit on how long do they have to take this quiz. You can allow multiple attempts. Tell it to keep the highest score or the last score, and how many attempts are allowed. You can let the students see their quiz responses at the end, and you can only once after each attempt. So you can let students see the correct answers. Maybe you don't, if you're going to give them multiple attempts, maybe you don't want to let them see the correct answers. Or maybe you're only going to show them the correct answers for like one day and then hide them again after that, and then make them take the quiz the next day again. It's however you want to do it. Do you want them to see one question at a time, or do you want it to be a scrolling quiz where you just keep going down the page, taking one question at a time? You can require a code if you want to keep people locked out. Set a due date. Again, when you set a due date, it'll show up in the calendars. Make it available from and to. And I'm just going to hit save right now just to save all of that information that we have set up. And it will take us back. There's my description and all of those answers that we just replied to. Let's go back in and edit it again. And if you notice, it is not published at this time. So, when we're done, we're going to have to publish this so we can actually let the kids see it. Okay, so questions. Let's start adding some questions. So we'll add a new question. Normally where it says question, I just put 1 in there. I just give them numbers as we go. And these are all the different type of questions that you can ask. We'll do a multiple choice here right now. And again, just like every other time, you can do your whole description and add pictures and do whatever you want to in here. And by default, it always says the first answer is your correct answer. The little arrow means that this would be the correct answer. So, we'll say our correct answer is yes, and then you can do whatever you want for all of the incorrect answers. If you change your mind and say, oh, well, this is really the correct answer, you just click down there and my arrow moves to wherever I want it to go to say this is my correct answer. And these little boxes allow you to add a comment. So if you want to put a comment in for each answer that the student selected, you may do that. Or you can have a global comment where it doesn't matter which answer they choose. Maybe you'll opt to say that the correct answer is this, and that's what will go. So you can actually have these little responses. So we're going to hit update question, and now the question will show up in my list. And I'm going to click on this little box that says show question details. And for some reason, sometimes this will not let me show the details unless I refresh the web page. I don't know why, but it just acts like that sometimes. So now I can click that to show the details. There you go, question 1. There are my answers. It even shows you which one's your correct answer. Let's do a new question. Let's make this one be a true false. And again, you add your content. You say is true or false correct. We'll keep it at true. You can add comments, update question. And let's add a new question again. And let's say maybe you want to do a fill in the blank will require an exact word. So if you say a country north of the United States is blank, well, Canada is the only option that you have. So if you do a fill in the blank, you write in what the question is going to be. You could even do something like an underline thing and finish up your statement and say what the correct answer is supposed to be. Okay, so you can say how many possible answers that they can do. So if it is like Canada, maybe they forget to capitalize it. Maybe you want to say, if I can spell today, or maybe you want to say, well, maybe they may actually capitalize it. You can put in however many possible answers that they will get to be able to get the right answer. So we'll update that question, and there it is. You can have a fill in or a short answer, so there would be like a little essay question in here. So you have an essay question. This one would have to be graded. It wouldn't be just a normal thing. You can specify how many points each question is worth too when you edit it out. So we're going to save this quiz, and we can preview it. Well, I'm going to hit publish here first. Okay, now it's published, and I can preview it. I can see what it's going to look like. And there's the quiz, and I can take the quiz myself. I don't remember what the correct answer was. I think it was yes, so we'll go down there. This one I think it was true, and this one I'm just going to type gibberish so I could get one wrong. And this one would need to be graded. So we'll hit submit quiz, and again, it can't really give you an exact answer. You'll see your information over here because it's saying has a little star. Some questions not graded yet. So the teacher's going to have to go through and grade that. And what would that look like? Well, there's a speed grader option, and this is really slick for Canvas. We'll talk about this in one of our later screencasts. So there you have it, the basics of making assignments and making quizzes. And that's about it for this lesson. We'll see you next lesson for number 4.